Good evening, everyone, again. This is Ella Wilson. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, and I'm a children's Christian book author and editor. Our guest speaker for tonight is Wayne Hinds, and the topic is Looking Under the Hood of AI. The train has left the station. Let's understand the engine driving the future. Wayne is the founder of Truth Communications Media and Publications. The presentation explains artificial intelligence in simple, easy to understand language instead of focusing on technical details. Wayne compares AI to looking under the hood of a car to see how the engine works. You will learn how tools like ChatGPT and Claude use large language models to create human-like responses and how AI agents are changing the way businesses operate. Wayne will also discuss how AI can help improve productivity, save time, and support better decision making. Drawing on more than 20 years of experience in data analytics, marketing, and business consulting, he shares practical ways to use AI for success. You will also hear about his book, Digital Gold, which explores the value of personal data and how people can take control of their digital future in today's AI-driven world. Wayne Hinds, founder and president of Truth Communications Media and Publications, and author, Every Dot Black welcomes you.
Wow, thank you so much, Ella. Well, I'm just melting in my seat from that, what you just read there. Making me make me seem a lot bigger than I am. So I'm honored. I got to say that I'm so proud of this organization. I'm proud of the organization and the leadership and the team. Came on a few years ago with my first edition of my book actually as a speaker. That's how I came here, and it's amazing. I'm still here, and I won't go anywhere because truly this is a wonderful platform, and it does so much. So thank you for the introduction. I'm going to get right to it. Respect everybody's time. This is a presentation that is near and dear to me because we talk a lot about how to use AI, and everyone has access to it. AI is everywhere, and so when I wrote my book, the first book I wrote was in December. Well, it was published in December 2022, literally 6 months before ChatGPT was released on the world, and it was called "Reclaim Your Digital Gold: How Your Personal Data is Changing Business and Society." And it was, at that point, I called it that data was the fuel. Data was one of the most valuable commodities going into this new era. And we're the raw materials of that data. We're the ones that are producing that by every time we get online. It doesn't matter if we're just doing a search, or scrolling, or going from our favorite platform, or doing business. Everything is digital now and remote, and also remote. So all of that, it creates data. And that data becomes proliferated and served back to us through algorithms, and served back to us through entertainment and many other things, which I won't go into. But here tonight, I'm going to focus on under the covers, because we need to understand the fundamentals and foundation under it, and what got us to where we are today. So I think I am sharing my screen. Yeah. So the AI engine, I'm going to focus on that as looking under the hood. The building blocks to modern AI explained without math. Now, you don't need to become a mechanic. Okay, this is not what it is. Many of you, we drive our cars, and we take it to a mechanic when we need to. We don't need to be a mechanic, right? We just need to know how it works, and so on. So but every driver should know what's under the hood. Okay. So one of my favorite sayings is that the genie's out of the bottle, the train has left the station. Probably should have had a little choo-choo train there too. So forgive me for not having the choo-choo train. But really, what we are at right now, where we are right now, is that there's no going back. AI won't replace every entrepreneur, but entrepreneurs who use AI will replace those who don't. Okay. Today we look underneath the hood, and so when you think of a car, okay, a gasoline engine car, or even any locomotive, really, right? Engine has certain parts to it, and we know those names. Over history, I mean, they've been proved and so on, but the fundamentals still remain, right? So, a gasoline engine, it has piston, it has fuel, it has spark plugs, it has cylinders and transmission, and they all work together. Okay, so AI also has an engine. And today we're going to discover what those parts are and how they make those up. So AI has 6 parts. Engine has 6 parts, just like the car has 6 parts to it. Okay, engine has 6 parts to it. AI parts are this. One, data, and that's the data is the fuel. What the model actually learns from. And as I mentioned, when I wrote that first book, I went at it from the angle of it was all about AI, but I went at it from the angle of data, saying we're just overwhelmed and going to be overwhelmed by data. And it turns out now that data is food for AI. That's another phrase I like to use. And so data is a fuel. That's what feeds the system. The second component is tokens. Okay, this is a piece of text that it gets splits into like bricks. So again, concepts we can all relate to. All right, you're building something. You've got bricks on a house. You build bricks to create a house. Children play with Legos, and they take little bricks and they build little things out of those Legos. It's the same concept, but and I'm going to go to each one, and I won't spend much time on each one, but I want to just spend a little bit of time here. But those bricks, what here is important is that these bricks in the area of language, those bricks are words. Actually, they're smaller than words. I'll show you shortly. Okay, but they become words. So you build them together. In the case of images, images actually has little small bricks. We call those pixels, or even smaller elements. All right. The other thing that's needed, part of the engine, is meaning. What's the meaning? Context. And the terminology in AI world is embeddings. Okay, meaning turns into coordinates. So you got to give AI some relevance and some context. I'm not going to go technical on any of this. Okay, I'm going to stay at the high level here. And then you get into the next one, which is the neural networks, and it's fashioned really after our brain. Our brain fires neural networks, thousands, thousands, and they're constantly, working and cheering, and that's the same concept that's applied here. All right. So where the learning actually happens, and that's the heart of the engine, if you will. And then there's this thing called the transformers, and this is actually the game changer that got us to where we are here. So it reads all the words at once, and so it's essentially a turbocharger. You want to use a car analogy. And then my friend, and I'm going to be our friend going forward, the other piece is the driver. So all of these make up the under the cover of AI. So keep these in mind, and you'll see them in action. And I'll towards the end, depending on time, I'll show you some of that in action. So AI, the agents essentially, puts the model to work. That's the guy who coordinates everything. Okay. All right. So start with data. Every engine needs fuel. AI runs text, images, code at planetary scale. At scale, I mean, rapidity is the word here, and efficiency, of course. And here are all the sources, some of the sources, and there's stories around each of these, so I won't elaborate too much. But books, articles, websites, research, images, video, code, and more stuff we producing. Our when we're on our phones and our eyes are moving, it's capturing our eye movements. Believe it or not, your thumb going scrolling. It's capturing the number of scrolls. It's capturing where you stop. It's capturing, and that gets turned into data points, cumulatively and exponentially in some cases. Because when you start, for those of our math minds out there and professors and anything associated with the schools, about the exponential growth, and also to I lost my train of thought on the other point I was going to make about the school there. But so when we're talking about the engine and the fuel and the text, this is where all of this happens really fast. Okay. And so that's really important because all of this information comes from somewhere. So all of it over history, the internet, books, they've all been scanned. In fact, the former Google chief himself, Eric Schmidt, said, you can find this on YouTube, that AI has ingested every word known to man. Doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what religion, it doesn't matter what language. AI has already ingested all of that, because that's how it's learned. It goes about learning. So billions of documents have become fuel. In fact, there's a well-known thing that's circulating through social media right now, how Anthropic is buying up all of the books, obviously all of the Renaissance books, the older books and so on. And what they're doing is they're scanning those books, they're chopping off the spine, scanning the books. And if they've gone to court and they won this court battle where the court says, as long as you get rid of the original, you can keep the digital. Unbelievable that that was a decision that was made just a few weeks, just a little while back. But that's where we are right now. So, all right, tokens is the next part. Is that bricks that I told you about? So words are like Lego blocks. Okay, they let us build models of the world, and that's Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton is famous he's the one who's developed the transformer. Actually, going to tell you a bit about shortly. He's a Canadian professor, so a former Google executive, and he's considered the godfather of AI. Recently, I mean, AI has been around since 1950, but in terms of the transformative period we're in right now, where that point of transformation happened in 2015, 2012, 2015. Him and his team are renowned for that at Google. And so computers don't read words, they read tokens. We read words. So a word, for example, there are two words together, is artificial intelligence. And we tend to break them up in our minds and how we put them together, artificial and intelligence, okay? And we do syllables and break, again, going back for our school experts here or professors and so on, with all respects. We do, break them up in syllables and all that. However, AI does something similar, but different, and that is it breaks them up into tokens. So art, official, intel, the human wouldn't look at it that way, but that's how AI does. It breaks it up into tokens, and I'm not going to go into why they, how they do about that. Let's just move on from that. Keep that in mind. Tokens are an important factor here. Okay, and so every sentence becomes thousands of digital building blocks. And the word token, the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because you buy tokens when you use these LLMs. You buy tokens. That's what you're buying. Okay, so you pay $25 a month or $300 a month, whatever it is, and you're buying X number of tokens to go with that. Okay. Part three of the engine, it means where the meaning happens. Okay, so here's an example right here on the left-hand side. If you look at this, and you probably identify it yourself, right off the bat: king, queen, prince, and princesses. What's that? That's a category of what? Of royalty. Okay, if I told you father, son, mother, and brother, and so on, that's a different category, and that would be a category of meaning, something meaning. So that's a cluster. So AI does that. It works with clusters really well. Okay. So here's an example: cat and dog. That's a cluster of animals. All right, plane, right? And where it's positioned far away. I mean, so there's relationships that AI is constantly developing. And interesting enough, AI doesn't have memory. I want to state that. I'm going to leave that there in a park, and I'll come back to it later. Okay, when it's building blocks together, it just build them and go, did I get it right? Did I get it like a child? Did I get it right? Somebody tell me if I got it right. And once they got the acknowledgement, then they know they got it right. So each token becomes a point in a vast mathematical space. Okay, similar meanings end up close together. So this is how AI grasps relationships, not by dictionary terms, but essentially by the relationship between the king, queen, and prince. Oh, that's a group of royalty. That's a group of family. That's a group of animals. All right, so engine, the next part of the engine, the heart of the engine is the neural networks, as is our brain. The heart of our brain is our neural networks, and everything fires through that. So millions of artificial neurons wired together by trillions. I mean, trillions. When you're hearing about these numbers are becoming exponentially crazy, all right? Trillions of connections. And it's only because it's happening behind the scenes, it's not programmed. So, and that's the other thing I'll show you very clearly, that we're not talking about programming here. We're talking about learning. We're talking about concepts that has been applied to teach the AI, and it goes off and does its thing and learns. So neurons is goes connected to millions and billions and trillions. So each connection has a weight. Now, a weight is, again, for those of you who are math and the educational system, or just conceptually, weight is the importance of something important. Okay, so how important is this word compared to the next word? that it gives it a weight, okay? And we do that in general speaking, just in our life, okay? How important is this event that I got to go to? Okay, put a weight on it. How important is this activity that I got to do? Or, can I put that off till later? Okay, or we prioritize, right? So learning means changing those weights. As you adjust the weights, it becomes more important, and so on. And then how does AI learn then? Well, AI learns by predicting. Each of you can take out your phone right now for me. If you're on your phone, that you can even do this too. Take out your phone and start typing this word for this sentence for me, okay? I like to. Just go ahead and do it. I like to. And what do you see? You see a bunch of choices that's come up, or it predicts the next word, right? It's going to tell you, oh, I like to dance. And it probably will do the word based on how much it knows about you and the various things you're involved in. So each of us may have a different word that gets inserted after I like to. I like to eat. I like to go do this. Right? I like to exercise. So anyway, AI, it's predicting. Step one, it predicts. Then it compares. So the result that it gets, it needs to know if it's accurate. So it compares against thousands of possibilities. All these possibilities it compares against. So as I said, I like to dance. Okay, well, yeah, that's one thing I like to do. Yeah, but is that what I intended to write? So let me see what fits. I like to dance. I like music. I like so now it needs context. But that's where it goes through the comparison. Okay, so it checks against reality. Again, my reality is I like to dance or I like music. So that's my reality. Yours may be different. Okay, step three is that it says, did I get it right, or how wrong was it? AI, like a child, needs to be corrected. We're actually beyond that stage right now. It's sad to say, actually, it's kind of self-correcting right now, but that's another story for another day. Let's stick with this. So it needs correction. It needs to know, did I get it right? And when we get it, actually, when it says I like to dance and I don't do anything, that's an acknowledgement to say, oh, that's what he meant. I like to dance, or I like music. So because I didn't correct it, it recognized that. So the next time I go, I like to, it automatically inserts dance. It doesn't even guess about other words. It just inserts dance. We call that in the past, we used to call it spell correct or correct spell or whatever. Autocorrect, sorry, autocorrect. We should call that's actually the transformer at work. And it adjusts the weights. So based on the fact they got it right or wrong, it adjusts the weights of importance. Okay, and that's billions, not just billions of them. And I'm going to have to pick up this pace here. Okay, so billions of times, it repeats it billions of times. This is the speed we're talking about. Because we have computers now that can go lightning fast and so on, that's what's been introduced into our world is speed. And so because of that, AI can do things that our brains just cannot keep up. And that's a number of things came together to make the perfect storm in which we're in right now. Which, ironically enough, I've mentioned a lot of this stuff in the first edition of the book, which is also in the second too, which has just been updated. So here we go. Here's the major breakthrough in 2012's AlexNet, okay, which is deep learning wins an ImageNet contest, okay. And neural networks suddenly beat everything that came before it. Interesting enough, there's a movie out there about Deep Mind. If you want to look it up, I think it's on Netflix, Deep Mind, and how Deep Mind was actually an AI tool that they used to work on, to learn and to create, but it was only focused on doing one thing. And I think the focus was to play a game. Yes, it was. It was play a game, and it got so good that it played the game of chess, and it went to defeat the championship in China. Okay, there and I won't go down that rabbit hole, but that's actually one of the around that time where we're talking about that happened. So Geoffrey Hinton, who I mentioned earlier, he's also Pulitzer Prize winner. I think I got that right. Yeah, he's a former professor. He's was the VP at Google, and he's also the one that again was really that brought this transformer and made things where we are today. And today, you can find him on YouTube. In fact, I'm going to give you a link at the end of this presentation where he talks about a lot of this, because some of this I got excerpt from his presentation. And he talks about the dangers of AI. And he is actually raising the red flag. The man who did this, who started this, is raising the red flag in many ways. And there are many good to it, of course, he mentions too. So anyway, so Jeffrey Hinton himself points out that this is a moment the neural networks opened up the floodgate. This is the start of what we have the AI revolution today. So here's an example of how the transformer works. If you look at this, you got AI reads words, okay, mostly one at a time, okay? So you get the, cat. That's why when you're typing, if you notice the words are, it's giving you a hint as to what next word would be. The cat sat on the mat, all right? That's before. Now with the transformer, it actually changes things around. It starts focusing on grouping words. Remember that the cat, those words that are similar or together, family of words, okay? Like we talk about the cluster of, the royalty or family or the animals. Well, here we go. Okay, the weight here is all the important words at once. The important words are the, on, mat. That's how it looks at it, okay? So on the left, you have one word focus, okay? Context gets lost because you're just reading straight through. In here, on the left, right, it's relationship based. So relationships across the sentence. What's the relationship? All right. So seeing every word together dramatically improves your word prediction, which is really, that's how we also operate. Because if you have remember we say big picture, show me the big picture. If you see the big picture, then you'll then be able to drill down, right? If you're down in the, the miry clay or the the details, you can't see the bigger picture and so on. That's what AI does. It sees the bigger picture and it does patterns. So here's the example of a prediction. Okay, so the cat sat on the, well, what's the next logical word? Well, actually, it could be any of those. But is it moon? Why isn't it moon? Because it's not practical. The cat wouldn't sit on the moon. It maybe in a cartoon or in a, right? But that's right. And it's not to say it's wrong, but in the case here of which is most practical, okay? And then you get the roof. The cat's out on the roof, the floor. So you see the percentage and the weight starts changing, okay? And what's more logical or what's more practical is the AI would say the cat's out on the mat. And it would wait for you to correct it or not correct it to know if it's correct. But that's the percentage example there, okay? So this one simple idea gets repeated in scale and becomes astonishingly capable. All right, large language models. This is the world we know. All right, so I just showed you there were some of the underpinnings. This is the world we know here. All right, when you start talking about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Llama, okay, they're the ones that do what? That use the amount of data, as massive amount of data they need. They need to eat data like crazy. That's why you get in data centers. Okay, they need data. And what do they need? Compute, speed, performance. Those are called CPUs, central processing units. And nowadays they call them GPU, graphical processing units, because graphics is intense, okay? And so you need those GPUs. And then you get more parameters. More parameters is more context, more context. And then better transformers. The transformer I just showed you was a simplified example. But you need more turbo, in other words, okay? All right. And so these are just some of the these GPTs. So all these guys have these concepts down pat. That's why the race is on. That's why you hear today about ChatGPT, tomorrow about Claude, and they're just fighting for each other because the more data they get, the more learnings they get, the more results they get, the more. And then here's our friend I mentioned in the beginning, okay? Mr. AI agent. Who is he? So LLMs, they think, and agents act. So these guys actually, and there's guys, they're multiple. We're not talking about one. Okay, when we talk about agents, it's a whole world of agents, and I'll go in that maybe time permitting. So we have think of agents as LLM large language models with hands. Okay, again, large language models are these here back here. Okay, so the agents are the ones, the drivers. All right. So what do the agents do? Well, they can read email, they can search the web, they can draft documents, they can book meetings, they can write code. They can call API. Application protocol interface is what API stand for. It's really a handshake between two applications. So if you have your favorite tool and you want it to talk to another tool, you need an API to go between the two of them, and that's what that stands. And so you get a complete and entire workflow end to end that these agents can do for you. They're the drivers. They go and take what's neat, what they've got, the resources that they've got, and then they make it happen. So agents pursue goals, and then they generate their own sub goals to get accomplished, just like we would. It's like a project manager. A project manager would take, again, that's only one agent, by the way, a project manager. Okay. He would take in all the inputs from the various, what needs to be done, and then he would delegate. Okay. So that's the world of AI today, the agent world we're in. That actually is happening without even us knowing that. So here's the complete engine, a complete AI engine. Data, which is fuel, goes needs the bricks, okay, and the tokens, and then the meaning, the context and the embeddings. I've been teaching about the various large language models for the last little while, doing webinars. Thank you for those of you who've attended, and you can see it on YouTube. And I've been talking about each of them individually and giving you the benefits of each and how to utilize them for business. And I've been focusing a lot on context, right? Which is really important. That's meaning, giving meaning, as opposed to just saying, "Oh, can you write an email for me or write something for me?" And then you get the engine, which is neural networks, and the turbo transformer, large language model, which scales everything, and then it goes to the driver. The driver takes over. Okay. Remember at the beginning I said, hey, you just get in the car. We all have a car. We can get into the car and we just drive it. We trust the engine. We know about the engine. Probably. Well, this is what the same concept we're in the world we're in right now. Okay. So for raw information to systems that do real work, what's the raw information? Our data or data at scale. Okay. And by the way, the data that's out there is one thing. It's constantly being created, but they're also taking data. The word I was looking for earlier just came back to me for the mathematicians and the professors and educators in the class is how you get the information to proliferate. Okay. And so that's what you get. The data comes in and it becomes essentially, proliferation, and you get permutation. The other word too is permutation and combination. So that's what AI does. It takes one, puts it together, and you get multiple variations of that, and then it creates its own version of data. So even when we're scrolling, example, they take your scroll, what you stopped on, that's one data point. What you look at is another data point. The time of day you look at it is another data point, and then all of these data points come together, creates a new data point or multiple data points, and that's the permutation and combination and the proliferation of that data. All right. All right. So why should entrepreneurs care? When you look at the history of this, and actually take us through this journey in the early stages of the early chapters of this book as to how we got to this place. And again, these are all the things that came together that created a perfect storm, right? And that is the internet, because AI has always been around. It's been around since the 1950s, but why did we have these cold winters and these non-breakthroughs until then? Well, we had the internet, which connected all of us in the world. Okay, so now we have proliferation of access and ease of access. Then you got the cloud. Cloud is, the data is constantly out there. It's really just database or hard drives in that perceived to be in space when they're not, but that's just a terminology. Okay, they're off your premises, they're onto someone else's server, and that's why it's called the cloud. And then you get into smartphones. Okay, smartphones came in, it gave us what? Instant access. Instant, no matter where, at 24 hours, 7 days a week, no matter where we were, in our bedroom, walking, talking, coffee shop, we're constantly wired. And so that's the other piece of the puzzle that came together. And then you get social media, which is, again, all of us connecting and interacting and, sharing ideas and thoughts, giving our deepest secrets or not, or whatever it is. And of course, all of those came together. Now we have AI says, hey, great. I'm awake. I'm alive. I've got data. I have access to everybody. I know what they're sharing, what they're and I can just roam the cloud, figuratively speaking. Okay. And I'm also on their smartphone. Everybody says, I don't want to have anything to do with AI. Well, your phone it listens to you, it responds to you, it'll search you, help you when you search. That's all AI. That's all AI. All right, some key takeaways then as I bring this to a close. I'm good on time, yeah. Key takeaways. AI isn't magic. It learns, basically. It's learning patterns. Words become mathematical relationships. The transformer was a critical point that made this modern AI possible where we are. LLMs, large language models, we'll give it a name, your favorite, ChatGPT, Gemini, okay, all of them, all right? They generate generate language. And of course, agents then perform the tasks, all right? So the next edge won't come from AI using sorry, from using AI, it'll come from orchestrating it. And that's what those agents are about. And that's what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to be the ones to start with our creativity and innovation to say to the agent, just like we do with an assistant. You have an, for those of you in business, whether you have your own business or you have, someone working with you, or it's the same concept. You're giving instruction to an assistant because they have the context, they have your knowledge, they have your trust. Okay, and that becomes it's the same model. It's just at scale. So you don't need to become an AI engineer. I want to make that clear. Okay, but just as every driver benefits from knowing what's under the hood, every entrepreneur benefits from understanding the engine that's transforming business right now. And the better you understand the technology, the better you will recognize the opportunities that's ahead of us here. And so I've got two more things I'll share. I'm not sure if I'll share this now or maybe at the end in terms of just a sneak peek. But let me just wrap up with this here. Yeah, so the two things, and I'll leave it with you if you want, if you do want to me to bring it back, I can, and they're this: to see a couple of agents talking to each other and working, okay, in a real life project example. I've done many of this, and I've actually I'm fascinated by the language and the conversation that they're having amongst each other. So I can showcase it. It's not a big demo, but if you like, I can showcase that. I just got to queue it up. And the other thing I can showcase too is what was the other one I was going to show you? Is anyway, the agents is definitely it. Oh, yes, also do. I won't showcase this. I'll just tell you this one. So AI, Google is AI. Google got they're reading your emails now. They're doing that, but you can turn those settings off. Okay, and I talk about that at the end of each chapter of my book. I give what is called digital gold nuggets. They're tips and tricks for you to be able to take back control. And that was in the first book. It's still in the second. It just improved and enhanced. But for example, if you ever saying hey, look, I need to go buy, I don't know, if you got the kids as well, if, actually, I'm going to park on that one for a second. If you got kids as an example, and maybe when your kids were younger, you need to go, buy them diapers, and you're thinking to yourself, I got to buy diapers, and maybe you said it out loud, and lo and behold, on your phone, it starts showing you advertisements about diapers. Google actually has the voice on. There's a setting on their Google that you can turn on and off, that it's listening to you, just like Amazon is listening to you. So there's listening devices and their execution devices, and our phone is a bridge between that world and us. So I'm going to, as I said, I was talking about the kids for a moment. Let me just end with this on the children. I'm going to talk about what my books, and then I'll open up the floor. So if those of us that have kids, we want the best for them, and of course, you spend our whole life, taking care of them. But when they're a child, just like Lego, you give them Lego blocks, if you did, and they build stuff, and you would say, "Well done, Johnny, well done." You gave it. It's the same concept we're doing with AI. Well done, Johnny. Excellent, excellent. Johnny may put a square peg in a round hole, or but you're watching, and Johnny's watching you to see your response. So Johnny learns, and he gets a reward for each time he learns, and it continues on. All the children. Now, to send your child, you want the child to go to do the best in the world, and so you may want to send them off to Harvard or whatever. I'm just giving an example. The best schools, let's just say, and you may choose Harvard, right? Well, okay. You're going to send them off to Harvard, him or her off to Harvard, and you don't know what they're going to learn. They're going to go and learn, but you've given them the fundamentals and all the training to go and learn. What they're doing and what they're learning is a whole world that you may or may not be exposed to or aware on a daily basis. And when they come home for a visit, you may say, "Well, what'd you learn, Johnny?" I was like, I don't know. You don't have the time or the capacity to really get that download of how much Johnny has absorbed in that time that Johnny was away. AI is the same thing. AI is constantly learning. It's out there. It's even when we're sleeping, and they're sharing information amongst each other all across the world through the cloud. And so we don't know what it don't know. We don't know what it knows that we don't know. I don't know what the phrase is. You know what I'm saying, right? But that's a concept of learning. You've just taught Johnny the concept and the principle to learn, okay? And with that, he or she went off into that world of learning, and become, and then, let's just say an example, just to wrap it up on this example. Let's say one day you're out and you run into a complex situation, I don't know, you're a complex situation. Camping, camping. I don't know why I'm choosing camping. And all of a sudden, Johnny comes over and goes, "Hey, I can do that. I can fix this." And you look at Johnny stunned, going, "How would you learn that?" So that's the kind of thing that we're dealing with, and so on. So, in wrapping this up, bringing this to a close, we're going to bring the train to a station. We're not, to this station. So we got Reclaim a Digital Goal is my next book, and I've changed the title slightly, saying how your personal data and AI are reshaping business and society. And then if I can get that in front here, and then the sub is your data helps to fuel $1 trillion industry. And we're not getting any compensation for that. That's a whole nother topic, but that's where the premise behind my book is, that this book is your advantage because it gives you how to find out what's out there about you. So we've got our data building this economy. The next chapter, I have a chapter dedicated to generative AI. And I have a lot of updates in each of the chapters, even the FICO score as an example. Okay, there is actual now digital ID now is coming out. They already have it in Europe, and Canada actually just came out with framework for this, which is unreal, with a framework for it. So digital ID is that chapter 7 is really about FICO score and our scoring system of our society. China is already using it and rolled it out. So your personal data is worth more than gold, and I truly mean that. And you see when I say that in the book, you see the reference to it. Until now, you had the ability to be able to mine it. So that book is now available on Amazon. We have the ebook available for dirt cheap price. I'd love for you guys to go out there and just get the book and just give me a review, please. That's really the reviews are the fuel to Amazon's engine to make the book go higher. Otherwise, they bury it. Okay, so I'd really appreciate, and I'm going to give you the link. You can go to get it. The additional thing we have too with the book this time, we have what is called a digital personal scanner. Dr. Joy mentioned about Googling yourself and so on. In some ways, that's what the digital scanner does, but even more, it's even more intelligent and more precise. And Dr. Joy is absolutely right. That people could take your content that's out there on the internet, modify it because they want the hits and the clicks and so on, and they don't care about you. They can take a picture of somebody else and put. So all of this information right now, because the digital world it's the wild, wild west. And so it's truly an opportunity for you to take back control and know what is out there. So the digital scanner does that, know what the internet knows about you, run the free scan, and then, if you want to do multiple, we give you steps as to how you can actually contact those places. Like Dr. Joy mentioned, you found this place. What do you send? What do you tell them? What do you ask them to do? Not just, but there's also a legal framework we can give you as a template that you can take and run with. And that is, you can sign up for the wait list right now, but at digitalfootprintscanner.com, we own that. But the business is going to go live in a couple of weeks with the actual scanner. You'll see that. All right, it's all ready to go. We just found out putting our finishing tweaks on it. All right, so reclaiming digital gold. Go deeper. How your data is reshaping our world, and you can reach me at. First of all, I'm going to give you the link to the book right now. Okay. And while you're asking the questions, but you can reach me at a variety of places. Wayne at truthcommunications.org. You can go to reclaimyourdigitalgold.com, and there's a connect with Wayne there. You can scan his QR code. It will take you to my LinkedIn page on LinkedIn. Okay. So many ways to reach out to me, and I'd love to hear from you. Apologize if I went over time. I probably did. Yes, I did.